I'm talking about what they preached and what they talked to the American people about. More so than what they're doing. The kind of messages that they were disseminating was incredibly uncomfortable to listen to and to hear. And I thought that it wasn't emblematic of what most Americans are thinking about. They're trying to pay their mortgages, rent, buy food and groceries, pay gas, and deal with the prices, the cost of living. And they want safety in the streets. That's primarily what most American citizens are about, trying to live in peace and harmony. And that's not something that I think either side has promoted along the way.
Stephen A. Smith calmly but firmly breaks down Jake Tapper, explaining why he believes the left leaned so hard into wokeness and why that strategy is now backfiring. He warns that Democrats look lost, unstable, and completely off balance. If they don't reset soon, he argues, they risk handing the next presidential race to Republicans without even putting up a real fight.
I'm not happy with the Democratic Party. So the Democratic Party as presently constructed, it would pretty much need to be purged in order for me to assume that I would want to be associated with them and I would garner their support, because I don't like the way they've gone about doing a lot of things for a very, very long period of time. And I think that I don't view Donald Trump as winning the election. I view the Democrats as losing the election, as absolutely positively blowing it.
Stephen A. Smith makes one thing very clear. His frustration isn't with liberal values themselves. It's with what the Democratic Party has allowed its public image to become. He says the party has drifted so far into performative wokeness that he no longer wants to be publicly associated with it, even though he still holds liberal beliefs. In his view, this isn't thoughtful progress or meaningful reform. It's ideological overreach that pushes regular people away and smothers basic common sense. He believes the party has lost both its moral footing and its strategic clarity, and that it desperately needs an internal wake-up call before it can rebuild credibility. And he's not alone. Just weeks ago, Gavin Newsom made a similar point, openly admitting that the Democratic brand has become toxic and deeply unattractive to large groups of voters. When influential voices inside the party start sounding alarms like this, it's more than routine criticism. It signals a serious identity crisis the party still hasn't resolved.
Well, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to do that to a lot of people, but we know who the extreme left is. We know how they go about operating. We know what we lean towards when it came to open borders. We know that the spending was excessive, even though it's excessive on the Republican side as well. I think a $37 trillion budget, when Republicans try to act like it's just the Democrats, that's not true. But the Democrats certainly shouldn't be absolved from blame in that regard. Certainly with identity politics, woke culture, cancel culture, I thought that was something that ravaged our nation psychologically, because you had people literally scared they were going to lose their jobs if they pronounced the wrong pronoun, for crying out loud. They got that.
Today, many on the left argue that President Trump is attacking free speech simply because he filed lawsuits against media outlets he claims spread false information about him. But that argument conveniently ignores what happened very recently. During the Biden and Kamala Harris administration, people were routinely criticized, silenced, or removed from online platforms for views that challenge the approved narrative. That double standard is exactly what Stephen A. Smith is pointing out. Free speech does not mean freedom from consequences, especially when disputes are handled through the legal system rather than government force. Adding to the irony, there have been public claims and congressional discussions suggesting the Biden administration communicated with tech companies like Facebook about content moderation. Whether those claims are fully accurate or not, the contrast is hard to miss. The same voices that stayed quiet then now present themselves as champions of free speech, accusing Trump of behavior they once defended or ignored.
And I think that that's one of the reasons that Donald Trump is in office today, because so much stuff, a lot is focused on the individual as opposed to actual policies itself. I'm talking about what they preached and what they talked to the American people about. More so than what they're doing. The kind of messages that they were disseminating was incredibly uncomfortable to listen to and to hear. And I thought that it wasn't emblematic of what most Americans are thinking about. They're trying to pay their mortgages, rent, buy food and groceries, pay gas, and deal with the prices, the cost of living. And they want safety in the streets. That's primarily what most American citizens are about, trying to live in peace and harmony. And that's not something that I think either side has promoted along the way.
Stephen A. Smith also emphasized another major issue. The Democratic message simply didn't connect with everyday Americans. Instead of focusing on shared national concerns, the party narrowed its attention to individuals and niche ideological causes. In doing so, they walked away from the kitchen table issues that shape real life. While families worried about gas prices, grocery grocery bills, economic instability, and public safety, Democrats focused on pleasing the far left and highlighting topics many voters don't see as urgent. That disconnect had consequences. Elections aren't won through virtue signaling or online applause. They're won by addressing what actually keeps people up at night. Stephen A. argues the party confused moral performance with real leadership. The result was a message that felt distant and out of touch. And when voters feel ignored, they don't just tune out, they vote against you. That pattern continues to define elections today.
I would say they're absolutely right. I'm not prepared. I'm not qualified. I have no political history whatsoever. I've never been interested in politics a day in my life. How did I come to this conclusion where I've left the door open? I'll tell you how. Elected officials have come up to me. Folks in the streets of America come up to me every single day. Not only that, my own pastor, A.R. Bernard from Christian Cultural Center in Brooklyn, New York, said to me, show respect to people who love and support you by leaving the door open, because you never know what God has planned for you or for us as a nation.
Now, some voices are even suggesting Stephen A. Smith as a potential presidential candidate. On the surface, the idea sounds unusual. He's never held elected office, and that naturally raises questions about experience. But in today's political climate, authenticity often matters more than polished resumes. Stephen A. speaks directly, without scripted talking points or political fluff. That's exactly what makes the idea appealing to some people. He comes across as steady, openly moderate, and willing to criticize nonsense even when it comes from his own side. At the very least, he seems more in touch with what most Americans care about than many career politicians. He focuses on real-life concerns instead of abstract ideological fantasies. And importantly, he's not trapped in the woke echo chamber that has driven so many voters away. Whether or not he ever runs, the fact that people are even considering it says a lot about how deeply trust in the political establishment has eroded.
Do you realize right now, and I'm saying this facetiously because I know that you do, Jake, doing what you do every single day. Do you realize that if you are an elected official, your real work is with the campaign? Once you get into office, literally you can get away. I'm talking about the nation's capital specifically, not state and local politics, just the nation's capital. You realize that you can literally go on Capitol Hill and all your job is to do is to disagree with the other side. You don't even have to do anything else. Whatever the other side feels, you feel the opposite. That's not work.
5. Stephen A. Smith is right about one thing above all. Modern politics has become incredibly toxic. People retreat into rigid camps and refuse to engage with anyone who disagrees. Debate has turned into shouting. Conversation has been replaced with labels. The country feels split right down the middle, and compromise is treated like weakness. That level of division isn't just unhealthy, it's dangerous. When a nation can't have honest discussions across political lines, progress stalls and resentment grows. Policy debates stop being about solutions and become contests to embarrass the other side. The result is gridlock, distrust, and a growing belief that the system doesn't work for regular people. This level of polarization blocks cooperation on issues that affect everyone. Until Americans learn to disagree without attacking each other, the country remains stuck, frustrated, divided, and unable to move forward.
The American citizens are suffering. So when I look at it from that standpoint, and I think the kind of impact that I could have as a centrist, as a moderate, as somebody who believes in being sensical and engaging in common sense, unfortunately, I believe that if I did take this very, very seriously and I moved forward and I decided that I wanted to be a politician, do I believe I could win? You're damn right. But it's by default. It's not because I'm the most qualified candidate in the world. It's because of the state of our politics in the nation's capital, the politicians that we're looking at, and the fact that we don't believe for 1 second that they are serving the interests of the American people, nor are they interested in it.
Stephen A. Smith also argues that one of the biggest failures in modern politics is how self-centered many leaders have become. Too many elected officials focus on themselves instead of the country they're supposed to serve. National interest takes a back seat to personal ambition and party survival. Instead of thinking long-term, politicians chase short-term wins and flashy gestures that look good in headlines. Every decision is filtered through polls, donors, and social media reactions instead of what truly benefits the public. Stephen A. believes this fuels empty promises, constant outrage, and endless division. Outrage is easier to sell than real solutions. institutions. When winning becomes the only goal, truth fades and accountability disappears. Leaders avoid tough but necessary positions and say whatever keeps them in power. The result is a political class that feels completely disconnected from everyday Americans who just want stability, opportunity, and competent leadership.
People look at me and they know one thing: I would be interested in serving the American people and doing what's in the best interest of this country. That means you, that means me, that means the black community, the Hispanic community, the white community, everybody. Because if all of us are rife with chaos, all that's going to lead to is America's destruction. And why would we want to be a part of that? So again, I'm not qualified. There are plenty of people that are qualified, more qualified to be at practically everybody. But are you going to win? And are you going to be committed to doing what's in the best interest of America? I know I'm that kind of person. That much I will say for myself. I'm not interested in division. I'm interested in galvanizing.
And that's exactly what more Americans should be doing. Speaking up when something is wrong. No matter which party it comes from, accountability shouldn't depend on political loyalty. If we only criticize the other side and excuse our own, we become part of the problem. Putting America first means choosing principles over party and truth over tribalism. It means recognizing that the country is bigger than any movement, personality, or election cycle. We don't need total agreement to move forward, but we do need to agree that the nation's well-being matters more than political wins. Real progress comes from conversation, compromise, and shared responsibility. Despite differences in beliefs or backgrounds, everyone has a stake in this country's success. If Americans can rediscover that shared purpose, healing divisions and restoring trust becomes possible.
I was aghast, to be quite honest with you. I wasn't looking for any kind of endorsement from anybody, especially him. But he is the president of the United States. There's a bit of flattery that comes with getting such words from the man who holds the highest office in the land, and I can appreciate that. But in the same breath, I'm saying to myself, you know what? I evidently I'd have no chance, because if somebody like that is throwing out my name, clearly they think that, yeah, go ahead and do it so we can beat you, we can romp you too. So I'm not falling for it. It was nice. It was nice to hear, and I appreciated it, but obviously it is what it is. I hear where he's coming from. But
Stephen A. Smith has also suggested that Donald Trump encouraging him to run for president may not be the compliment it seems. From his point of view, that kind of praise could be a setup. Temporary boost followed by an eventual takedown, similar to what Trump has done to others, including Kamala Harris. That is, of course, assuming Trump is even able to run again. Still, Stephen A. doesn't fully dismiss the broader idea. He acknowledges that leadership isn't defined only by political experience, but by judgment, priorities, and character. If someone like him ever stepped into that role, the real test would be whether the country came before ego, branding, or party ambition. Strip away the spectacle, and that's what many Americans are craving. A leader focused on unity, stability, and the national interest, not endless political warfare. In the end, Stephen A. Smith's message cuts through the noise. Americans are tired of performative politics, extreme ideology, and leaders who value power over people. Whether it's calling out wokeness, defending free speech, or demanding accountability from both sides, the message is clear. The country needs honesty, balance, and leadership rooted in real life. And with that, we close out today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.